you take care of the people, you're taking care of the business. And if you do that in an authentic way where you truly care about the people and you care about their growth and you care about their well-being, that's the beginning and foundation of a culture right there.
You know, this is funny. We're talking about culture today. And it's such a marshmallow topic because to me, it doesn't really mean a lot to a lot of people. It's sort of like somebody says, "What's culture?" And you sort of know it when it's there. But I was thinking about this the other day. I'm walking around this guy's company and he says to me, man, things are just really slow and sort of stale. Do you think we need a ping pong table? I said, well, huh? What do you mean? He said, well, we got to spice things up. We got to change our culture. And it reminds me back when we were starting actually with hammocks in the very early days. There was only two of us, right? So it was hammocks.com was the name of the company. And we were in this just dumpy strip mall office space, if you want to call it that, part warehouse, part office. One section of it was a warehouse where we actually had the hammocks, and it was 400 degrees in there. There was an old ping pong table that actually was in there from the previous tenant, up against the wall, broken, warped, half the net had holes in it. And we just kind of rolled the thing out and put it up because we just wanted something fun to do and to blow off some steam and just kind of screw around a little bit. It wasn't one of those forced fun things. It was just like, well, this is what we kind of do. And as people joined the company, they saw this like, oh, that'd be cool. This is great. Oh, you guys wear shorts and it's t-shirts and it's fun and you play games and it's not like, oh my God, this is the stated culture. And it just makes me think about, can you create that from day one, or do you think it just happens? Because you got a ton of experience with small and large companies when it comes to understanding the flow of the people and the systems, but above all, the culture. Does something like that just happen, or do you mandate it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a little hard to answer. In reality, this comes back to things that we talk about in regards to taking care of the people. And when you take care of the people, you're taking care of the business. And if you do that in an authentic way where you truly care about the people and you care about their growth and you care about their well-being, that's the beginning and foundation of a culture right there. Just caring about your team, caring about yourself. When Hammock started, and I think I was employee number 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I remember that strip mall. And it was probably one of the moments that really made me think about stuff beyond tasks. I walked in, I'm working with Doug, one of the founders, like you. And Doug doesn't just sit me down at a desk and say, hey, here are the 10 things I need you to get started doing. He brings me over to the photo studio where there are many hammocks. And for our listeners, hammocks.com was the starting point for Hayneedle, the big $400 million business that we talk about and we've talked about before. But hammocks.com, he brings me over to the photo studio and he teaches me about every single hammock that is on the website, whether it's the Mayan hammock or the rope hammock or the Nicaraguan. And I thought at that point in time, I was like, wow, this is the best first day I've ever had. And I didn't do a single thing. I didn't move the needle at all.
Yeah.
But what it did is it gave me as an employee a mindset of feeling inclusivity. I felt a part of the team at that point in time. I felt I was being set up for success because I was learning about the product. And it was just, I think, Doug's natural selling and visionary ability saying, I want you to understand the product first. And he did it in a unique way. And he did it because he cared that I understood the business in that fashion first before I started sitting down at my desk and doing stuff.
So it's organic.
It was so organic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something where you say, okay, step 2, Step
Yes.
three is just something that becomes part of how you do things,
Yeah.
which then is okay. Wow, I can remember when we first were getting products to try. My litmus test was if I could put it together in under 15 minutes, then it made it to the website. And Adirondack chairs were my kind of kryptonite. And we had someone coming in that just wanted to work in the call center.
Yep.
And I remember she steps over me. She's like, "Who's that guy?" And so, well, that's Mark Haysbrook. He's one of the founders. What's he doing on the floor? Well, he's putting together an Adirondack chair. He's trying to, and there were screws and nuts and bolts everywhere. Like what? And everybody had to try and do that stuff. It wasn't like we just forced it. Say, hey, could you put this together? I mean, if you can do it, then I guess our customer can do it. And it wasn't theater. It was just something we just did. And it's funny how the people that you then hire in that mold become part of that. And where do you think that tips over with companies as they scale? What's the challenge in, I guess, keeping that same energy and enthusiasm? Is it numbers of people? Is it revenues? And do they lose sight of that?
Yeah, and we've seen companies lose sight of that because we get busy and we have a lot to do. And again, we get blinded by all those things and we forget about the people. We forget about the relationship building. And while I remember, I think it was 25 years ago, was one of the first times I heard this phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, that is,
Yeah.
that's correct. That's right. We're going to talk consistently on this podcast about people being in the center of your business strategy,
Right.
being the real differentiator and kind of the linchpin to business results. And it's the culture you build. And some founders are very aware of it. And it's just like anything. It's just like building your leadership skills. It's just like building relationship skills. You do have to spend time on what kind of culture do I want to build? What kind of
Yeah.
culture can I naturally build? Who am I? Am I a high energy person? And how much can I impact that culture by just spending a little bit more time getting to know my team, my employees, what motivates them. I mean, we've seen the stats, I think. There's some pretty startling stats out there that show the connection between employee engagement, culture, and how it drives business
Yeah.
results.
Yeah.
It's a strategy. It's just like any other strategy to business results. It's just one that, like you said, it's a marshmallow. It feels like a marshmallow strategy when it's really a hard tactic. And it's often forgotten because it doesn't feel like a hard line or a direct line to business results when it
Yeah.
really is. And buying ping pong tables or pool tables or dartboards or going out to dinner or all that stuff, that's supplementary.
Mm-hmm.
You're found how the culture is in your day-to-day work environment is the culture. That's what it is. The rest of it's just additive, but it's not defining the culture by getting a ping pong table.
It's funny. It's kind of like parenting. People are watching. Everybody's watching, and they realize what you do from day one as a founder is so important because it just sets the tone and the course for how you do everything. And if you don't respond to an email, if you don't respond to a customer, if you just do things slow, well, guess what? That gets approval. Well,
Yep.
wow, gee, the founder doesn't reply to emails, so I don't have to reply. And they don't return calls, so I guess it's not on me. He or she doesn't do it. Well, and then, a year into the business, they wonder, God, why are we struggling? Why is no one working? It just veers off course. You may have a great product or an amazing service, but the world says, I don't care because you don't care. And so setting that from day one has to be intentional.
It
But
does. Yeah.
man, it is so hard because it's like, oh, should we bring the pancake man in and a magician? Or, should we it's just how you do things. And so if you are set out as a founder, you don't get that opportunity very often.
Yeah.
And have you seen where companies go through transition that all of a sudden that culture shifts and changes?
Well, I'll tell you what I have seen, what's coming off the top of my head right away. And this is at both Office Depot and Sports Authority. Both of those were stressed cultures. They're stressed results. And by the way, that does tend to hurt if there was a good culture and the leadership is not being completely intentional about maintaining a good culture. Culture can erode right along with those results. Um, so when I came into Office Depot and both Office Depot and Sports Authority, and I'll tell you, I saw the proof in the pudding, both at Hayneedle when we were both there. It was so natural, but we really did care about people. So we wanted to know if they were feeling good about themselves at the end of the day, if they felt
Yeah.
empowered, if they felt like they were making impact, and as well as another company. So when I go in off Steep on Sports Authority, those are huge companies. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of stressed culture. What I focused on was building a team in both of those areas. I built a team from maybe 4 or 5 to up to 60 in a very short period of time. And I wanted to be sure that the thing I can control was my culture and my team. I had to focus on that. And that meant that when I hired people, I was intentional about showing that I cared. Again, I wasn't doing things like buying dinners or, buying dartboards or
Right.
whatever. I was simply showing that I cared that they could succeed. I cared that they were motivated. I cared um, that they were doing things that they were having fun doing. Having fun is an interesting question to ask to people, by the way. How often do founders have a conversation with one of their employees and say, "Are
Yeah.
you having fun today?" And that was a intentional every day, every week sort of thing. And then once I built that team and I felt they were melding and getting we had high levels of engagement. What I wanted to do to make it stick and just add a little bit more to it was we did team building events. We did these monthly, like 2 or 3 hour offsite events. I had these little things going on. I actually had a team on my team, like a small group, making sure that we were intentional about spending time together.
Yeah.
And those things are, to me, just as impactful to our business results. And I proved it over and over again. I think that was a piece of the puzzle. I'll give you the example we talked about with Sports Authority, how my team and myself grew that business from 50 to 250 million in 2 years. We also we were the small team was at the bottom of the totem pole in the employee engagement survey that was given about 60 days after I joined.
Nice.
That group of 4 or 5 that I had, we were literally at the bottom of all departments. Within a year and a half, we were at the top of the employee engagement survey of all the departments. And we were still very stressed for results in the bigger picture of Sports Authority.
What was the one or two things you did to really shift that? Because that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Again, it's just these little, I think you said this when we were talking before. It's these little micro moments you don't need to do. And you and I talk about this all the time. We don't need to do big things. You just need to show you care.
Yeah.
You care that people are enjoying themselves. And to your point about like founders or leaders, maybe put them in both the same bucket. What you do is going to be what your team does.
Yeah.
If you work at 10 o'clock at night, your team's going to feel pressured to work 10 o'clock at night. If you don't show that you care about people, how they feel about things, if they're feeling motivated, if they understand what they're doing, if
Yeah.
they feel a part of the team, then your leaders will not do that either. And so it just is these little leadership moments you take along the way to make sure that you're putting people in the center of everything, and then the culture works itself out from there.
Yeah. Do you think sharing information openly and kind of being overused word vulnerable helps or hurts?
That is a great question. And I'd love to know what you've experienced. But I've always felt be very transparent. And actually, at Sports Authority, when I put the financial budget together, I gave my team ownership to lines on that financial budget.
Yeah.
And you know what? The right people, A players, absolutely eat that up. They have way more fun in their job when they feel like I own that. And then on top of that, you empower them to figure out how to get there.
Yep.
And then you hold them accountable to those results.
Yep.
The right team has a lot of fun and is very energized by things like that. But being transparent is really important, and being transparent with the right timing is really important.
Yeah.
Don't be transparent too late.
Yeah, exactly.
Always give people, heads up. Always give people things ahead of time. But remember, and I learned this because I've made mistakes along the way in this area, is you need to be transparent with an understanding of where you think that person's going to approach that transparent information from.
Yep.
So, and usually where they approach it from is if you say, hey, listen, I don't know, our results are down. The first thing usually other people think about is, how does that impact me?
Mm-hmm.
And you need, as a leader or founder, need to be ready as saying how that impacts them, so you can have a nice conversation. Or how, you ask them, how do you feel like that might impact
Yep.
you? But bringing people in does create an inclusive culture, and it does, it helps. You and I take a lot of supplements in our health life, and I like to think about it like this. Supplements don't help you get healthy. They're additive to the health regimen you already follow.
Mm-hmm.
The culture and the team building events and the dinners and the dartboards and the ping pong, they don't help build a good culture. They will never do that. But they are excellent additives to an already good culture, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, it really does. That's succinct and well put because I wrote something this week. I was just uh, thinking of things like on LinkedIn, I post stuff like what they don't tell you in the boardroom. And one of them was about bad news, but sharing bad news with your team, right up front and just hitting it head on. Just like, guys, here was our budget. Here's how we did. We missed it by a mile. Here's some stuff we got to do. And we're going to focus
Mm-hmm.
on these three things. This, you fill in the blank, week, month, quarter, whatever it happens to be. But what I found are two things. One, if you sense it as you get this into your career, if you sense it, odds are everybody else is sensing it too. There's a rhythm to business. There's a rhythm to what you do every day. And when you fall out of rhythm, it's something that you just say, guys, something seems off here. I don't know what it is. Who does? I really think that helps strengthen the fabric of that company. It's like, wow, I feel it too. I can't believe he or she asked me. And then, okay, I'm going to speak up. And when you share that bad news up front and everybody owns it, you find a solution. And when there's a solution, the celebrations become super genuine
Mm-hmm.
and real. Like, we fixed this. We did this together. I can't believe it. This is awesome. How wonderful. And so it's those things that you do collectively when you feel like I don't know, something's off here, or the numbers just show me that, guys, we're missing it. Let them own the problem. But when you're vulnerable about it, or you just say, I need help, they realize, okay, she's the leader, but she doesn't quite know what to do here. I'm stepping up. I think that's something that really bakes itself in to then those micro moments every day where they start sharing that with their teams. Like, guys, something's off here. Am I missing it? Or how come we did this, or this, and we missed it here? Let's all own this together. That's where the excitement comes in. It's like just a weird kind of tangent story, but remember Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so
Yes.
he we got to meet him, and he actually toured. You remember the space we had out on 120th Street, the old Western Electric plant.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, so it was this enormous place, and I think one floor was 100,000 feet,
Right.
but it was one long floor. And he's touring our call center with us. And he stops, he goes, "Where's the confetti?" And it's like, "What? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Where's the confetti? How come there's no confetti that people are throwing at each other?" I didn't quite get it. But his point was when there's a celebration, there should be like a celebration. When somebody does something good. So like 2 minutes later, he wasn't aware this was going to happen. You might remember Brian Pribnow. And this was something that just happened. These guys would do relay races down the hall to see who could run fastest down this thing. And it wasn't like this was a staged thing. It would just be like, "You want to race? I'll race you. Let's go." And so everybody would back out of the way and they would do these relay races, and they would time it and post it up on this whiteboard to see who had the fastest time. And Tony Shea was like, "Okay, there's your confetti."
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Something that you just said that's an interesting point is a lot of times, and I'll give you an example, culture doesn't necessarily always come from the top. Brian Pribnow was someone who's been there from the beginning.
Yep.
But he's not a founder and he's not an executive, but he's somebody everyone loves. He's kind of the center on some level. And he's so authentically energetic and motivated, and he just does things like that.
Yep. Yeah.
And when you have people who can do things like that and they don't get in trouble, like, okay, we spent whatever 5 minutes doing that, and no one was like, "Hey, go back to your desk. Let's
What
get
are you
to work.
doing?
Let's
Cut it
get
out.
going.
Knock
What
it
are you
off.
doing? You're wasting time. You just lost 5 customer calls."
Right. Yeah.
No, you know what? That type of stuff is so valuable. The productivity gained comes 10 times over after
Yep.
things like that happen.
Yep.
But if it comes from the team, like I built both Office Depot and Sports Authority, but Sports Authority was probably the most fun. When I built the 60-person team up, the inclusivity kind of landed like this. I asked my directs, who were directors, senior directors, to help me put together the vision and the strategy and the forward motion of sportsauthority.com. How
Yep.
are we going from 50 to 250? And they not only put it together with me, they also brought their teams in to help them kind of iron out some of the details. And that was one inclusive thing. And by the way, this is a day-to-day job, and they're feeling like, wow, I'm really a part of this. This is
Yeah.
so
Ownership. Yeah.
neat. And now I can actually own it. I buy into it. So now I can own it because I'm part of building it. The other thing I asked was the next level down was like 9 managers. And I brought them into a room and I said, listen, I am a big believer that culture is a piece of this puzzle that's going to help us drive this 50 to 250 million vision. I need your help figuring out what that might look like. And I don't want a bunch of dartboards and dinners. Do stuff on the regular. What do we need to be doing? What do we need to stand for? And I want you guys to build it and tell us. And they built this very cool acronym, which was CURL, CURL, which Sports Authority was a sporting goods place. So CURL kind of meant something to us, a biceps curl. And it was the CURL stood for collaborative, understanding, respect, and laughter. And with everything that we did, whether it was a 2-minute activity together, bringing people together, get them off their deck, get them out of their mode of doing a task, 2 minutes here, a 4-hour team building there, it was centered around us being more collaborative, understanding, respect, and laughter.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, what a smart, and not only that, but they're in the middle of the pack here. They're the ones driving everything down and managing up. So they're in the middle of our team. And they were just incredibly successful, but everybody bought into it. Everybody was
cool.
Super excited. And I think that's how we got to that top employee engagement. But
because it was legitimate too. It wasn't
it was legit.
Like, what are we doing here again? Can I get back to my desk? It's like people loved it. And that, I mean, that's the key of what we're talking about really today is that it is legit. You lead by example. People are watching. You know, you share openly. You let people buy in, and I think you gradually build that culture, and one day you wake up and go, "This is kind of a cool culture,"
Right.
you know, and you can pat yourself on the back. It's not something you set out to do and write down. It just kind of happens, I believe. Now, I know we're going to get some naysayers on that, but that's kind of the experience that we've had. So, any last thoughts to share with the world on that? Because I think it's something when you start a business, believe it or not, you are creating a culture.
Well, I think some last thoughts are how much are you spending time on the culture of your business? If you were to just believe for 5 minutes that it has as much impact to the results of your business as anything else you're doing right now,
That's good.
how much time are you spending on it?
Yep.
What kind of culture do you have right now? What kind of culture do you believe you have? What kind of culture does your employees believe? And is that in sync, or
Yep.
is there some stuff that's in conflict? And what would happen if you spent 6 months focused on people, what they need, empowering them, motivating them? Would you see the needle move? When you try that, if you believe that the needle moved, and hopefully we've shown that a little bit today, but go look at the results. There are plenty out there.
Right. Great thought. Awesome. Like us, subscribe us. Appreciate everything.
Love reviews. We would love
appreciate all
reviews.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you next time.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you just heard, give us a like and leave a comment so that more people can tune in. Or go subscribe on YouTube. To learn more about Mark and Jennifer, visit DundeeGP.com.